Yes everyone, how are we all doing today? Welcome to another video on the channel, and this video is an emergency video. After the Chelsea vlog, I wasn't expecting to post another video until West Ham next Tuesday, but yesterday afternoon, late afternoon, Steve Cooper was sacked as the manager of Leicester City, which, no matter how badly people wanted it to happen, was still a shock at the timing of Cooper's sacking. And today's video, I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on it and where Leicester City possibly go from here, with the targets that are out there and the links that are already swirling once again, as Leicester City are back in the market for a new manager yet again. Right, so if you ask any Leicester fan, they would have said, well, not any Leicester fan, but 90% of Leicester fans do want Steve Cooper to leave the club. They would have said yes. I was included. I was one of the last ones to go. But after what I saw on Saturday, not having a single shot on target from open play at home against a beatable Chelsea side, it was the final straw for me. But many poor performances, and the wins we have being very, very fortunate wins against a 10-man Southampton and against a Bournemouth side that on another day would have scored 2 or 3 against us. So I was happy with the decision, but the board's decision to do it when they did was a massive, massive surprise. But in the end, in my opinion, was a very, very good decision. Because obviously my biggest fear was when Leicester sacked Rodgers, getting straight into it here, I'm not messing about. When Leicester sacked Rodgers, they should have sacked him around now. And they waited until the 1st of April, and by that point it was too late. And in my opinion, Leicester were going that way again this season under Steve Cooper. And the board saw that. Maybe they've even learnt their lesson. And they got rid of Steve Cooper with plenty of time, plenty of managers swirling to make the right decision and to get a good replacement in before they did what they did in 22-23 and left it too late. It was obvious from the start that Cooper hadn't got the fans on board and hadn't got the players on board. It's come out now that he'd had bust-ups at the training ground with Harry Winks, Hamza Chowdhury and Yannick Vestergaard. And whatever you think of Hamza Chowdhury and Yannick Vestergaard, you can't have that. I think from the start he was doomed at Leicester, from fans not wanting him, from his connections with Forest, and that for me is out of order. You got to give the bloke a chance. I didn't think he got a fair crack at Leicester, but he was quite clearly, after 4 or 5 games, out of his depth here. So the right decision was made to move him on. And I wish him luck in the future. I've got no bad ill towards Steve Cooper. Lovely bloke, wants the best for any club he manages, but he just wasn't the right fit here. And I think he's probably more of a top-end championship gaffer, or a manager who can go to a team, have a 5-year project, build a good reputation with the fans, and just work on that. He was not the right fit here, and that was apparent very, very early on. And Leicester and the board have realised that for once, and they've moved him on very early, 15 games, 12 league games, with enough time to make a sound appointment. And that's what I'm going to move on to talking about now. What next for Leicester City? Who's out there? Who would fit us best? And how quick does this appointment need to be? Clue, rapid. Right, so there's 3 names. I think it'll come down to these 3 names to be the next Leicester City manager. I'm pretty sure you've all seen them. It wouldn't be hard to guess them. Ruud van Nistelrooy, Graham Potter and David Moyes. 3 managers there, 3 very, very different approaches there as well. We'll start with Ruud. Obviously, PSV did okay, won a couple of trophies, but it all ended in a very, very toxic manner for Ruud at PSV, falling out with the board, falling out with players, and eventually jumping before he was pushed by resigning at PSV. Obviously, his spell at Man United, very positive. 2 of those games against Leicester, where we absolutely had our number, had our pants down. The 5-2 in the Cup and the 3-0 in the league was arguably our worst performance of the season. It's a risk. It's a massive risk. And if we go after Ruud, I think go one or 2 ways. It'll be a brilliant appointment. We'll thrive. We'll be here for years unless he gets poached like Enzo. But I don't have an issue with that. If your manager's successful and you go somewhere else, it means you've had success. So that's fine by me. But it'll either be something like what we had with Enzo, will be brilliant, he'll go somewhere else after 2 seasons, 3 seasons, or it'll be an absolute car crash and we'll be in the market for a gaffer in March again. Because not much experience, no real Premier League experience, no relegation experience, but that's not an issue because I'm going to come on to Graham Potter, who's my personal favourite. But it's a massive, massive risk, and I'm not sure it's what we need in this scenario. Same thing, moving on to David Moyes. Honestly, probably would 100% keep us in the Premier League, but I think he's far too similar to Steve Cooper. I think he's 62 years of age. He doesn't need this job. He doesn't need to be roped into a relegation scrap. He doesn't need to be fighting down the bottom. He doesn't need it. The bloke's 62. He's won a European trophy. He's managed Man United. He doesn't need the Leicester job. And I think we need someone who's young, got a point to prove, and wants to fight. There's nothing against David Moyes. He'll do exactly what we need this season. But we don't need another short-term appointment. He's too similar to Cooper. We need an expressive young coach with a point to prove. So David Moyes, for me, would not be the correct option for Leicester City. But for me, I'll keep saying for me, the main man, it has to be. We've tried so many times before. I'm getting a bit embarrassed now that I still love him so much. After all the reject, he's like this girl you're chasing for a date, and she keeps saying no. She keeps giving you flirtatious looks from across the bar, but she keeps every time you go up to try and talk to her, she's gone home early. But Graham Potter, I think he's perfect. I think obviously the time at Chelsea, you can brush that aside, but the fact he was even looked at by Chelsea could be seen as a massive, massive positive. I think what he's done at Brighton, he could easily replicate here. Gets a bit of money to spend, recruits well. I know it wasn't him doing most of the recruitment, but he would still have had a part to play in that. I think he can do what he did with Brighton at Leicester, get us back fighting for Europe. But if he goes somewhere else, fine. But I think his style of play is the most similar to Enzo's, suits exactly what we want to do. Expressive football, scores goals. I think players like Harry Winks, players like Oliver Skipp, Stefan Mavididi, Boubakary Soumaré maybe, Wilfred Ndidi, they'll all thrive in a Graham Potter system. And I just think he's the perfect fit. I think he could get us back to where the board obviously wants us to be, in the top 10, looking at Europa League, looking at Conference League. And I think Graham Potter is 100% the man to do that for Leicester City. Other names flying around, Carlos Corberán, wouldn't mind that, but would we pay the compensation? Probably not. Mark Robbins, no. Cov scum. Frank Lampard, no. These are just all names. Lee Carsley, maybe. If we weren't in the Premier League, that would be quite an ambitious young manager, but no, I don't think he'd take it anyway. I think he likes the stress-free lifestyle of managing the 21s. But for me, if Graham Potter wants it, Graham Potter has to be the next Leicester City manager to replace Steve Cooper. Busy schedule coming up. Brentford on Saturday, then 2 home games against West Ham on Tuesday and Brighton on the Sunday. Leicester apparently want a man in for Saturday. That has to be the case. It took us 3 weeks from when Enzo left to get Steve Cooper, and a similar timeline from when Rodgers left to getting Dean Smith. So it has to be quick, it has to be un-Leicester-like, and it has to be correct, because the EFL are waiting with bow and arrows, axes, knives, shotguns to hit us with a point deduction. If we do go down, we have to stay in the Premier League this season, and for me, Graham Potter is the man to do that. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you at West Ham on Tuesday night, when we should, if we don't have a new gaffer by then, watch out for the vlog. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, stay safe, have a good one, and all aboard the Leicester City roller coaster once again.